South Africa, for whatever reason, they did so well in the field events. The shot put, the javelin throw. The javelin throw was won by Julius. He's an experienced man. You know him very well. The pole vault was won by South Africa. So South Africa were really dominant. The hurdles, 400 meters hurdles, Joseph Regel, she won that. So coach is absolutely right when he says that South Africa, the likes of Botswana and co, are coming in strongly, and maybe they are a threat to Kenya and not to Ghana.
Well, Musawe, I think you're becoming a little bit of a Kenyan, I've got to admit. I mean, in fact, even the fact that you could mention three Kenyan names, three Kenyan cities by name during the women's 10,000 meters, Mombasa, Nairobi, Nakuru, I only suspected only one person would do that. But Coach, let me come to you, because
actually, Daniel,
yes.
When I was studying African studies, that was when I came across the fact that Mombasa is the heart of education in the continent. When African educators decided to assemble in Mombasa in 1968 to change the narrative of education in the continent, because the colonial masters had come down and Africans were being taught what our colonial masters wanted us to know. So African educators decided to assemble in Mombasa in 1968, and that was when we began studying about African histories. So Mombasa will always be the heart of education in the continent.
All right, Coach Sang, at least you can see some great vibes coming through about, Kenya. And Coach, before we get to, the track performance that we had, let's talk about the field events, because I want to start with the women's shot put. Belinda Oburu winning a bronze medal, 16 meters 39. What is that shift you're seeing in the field events? Because we also one medal, there was also that medal that came through from Asbel Kiprop in the high jump, and there was also the long jump event, and Edwin Tor picking a silver in the decathlon.
Yeah, Waome, that is a great improvement when it comes to what we are seeing the YouTuber Julius Yeager have done. He became the only person who has been performing so well in the international scene, and we have seen largely the upcoming athletes are coming up and they are taking up the field events also, not only the endurance events. And it's a great improvement that we are winning even up to medals in Africa Championship. And hopefully we are projecting that coming Commonwealth Games and World Championship, Olympics, we will have some medals in also in the field events. So unlike where we are doing well in the middle distance and long distance.
And yeah, from what you have seen, and for example, I mean, we can talk about Julius Yego. Hopefully he's going to be joining us in another 10 or 15 minutes from there. When you see somebody like Edwin Tor coming in the decathlon and the kind of, improvements that we are seeing, because for you to do the decathlon, you need to be good on the track and good in the field. How much of training have you seen with these athletes who are taking, what is not the traditional event?
Yeah. The athletes like Edwin Tai has been really doing well in the local circuits, and he showed that he has a great potential to having a medal. And by winning that medal, it was a great show that when you put hard work in training, actually you are going to get. And equally to all athletes who got the medals in the field, like the triple jump. We are getting some more medals coming in, and it is an event that we normally dominated by West Africa and maybe South Africa sometimes. It's really a very great improvement for the coaches who have done some training to get some experience on how to do the events. And actually, Waome, we are foreseeing the future that it's really bright for other events in even not only the endurance event.
Muftawa, let me come to you because you did not miss any piece of this action. And let's start with what you picked out. Eritrea is, we know they've got a strong cycling scene. We also know that, they've got a good history in Midland track. Let's start with where you saw that application of the tactics, especially, I mean, for the events that were in the first 2 days, what stood out for you on their execution? And also Rwanda, which is upcoming, which is a nation that is rising slowly when it comes to cross-country and the middle and long.
I noticed that the tactic of Eritrea was conserve energy, but make sure that you were close to the action. You were close to the moment you could take advantage if you knew you had so much energy to take the final lap. And that was a very smart one. You would see that initially it was Uganda, Uganda, Uganda. There was Kenya, there was Ethiopia. But Eritrea was never anywhere, even among the top 5 athletes who were leading. However, in the final 2 laps, that was when he decided to race quicker. And I felt that that was a tactic that completely worked out for him. When the moment arrived for him to take advantage and run across in the final lap, he went into the second lane, made sure he got the better of Dan Kibe, who was leading. Then he took over. From that instant, he created a gap between him and Dan Kibe. And in fact, Dan Kibe of Uganda, who was the leader from the onset, was completely blown apart from that stage. So it was a perfect tactic I think he employed in that race. Then we talk about Rwanda and Djibouti. These 2 countries in the women's 5,000 meters. Emmeline, what an athlete she is. In fact, she also employed a similar tactic in a women's 5,000 meters. When it mattered most, she took advantage of it, got the bend, got onto the home straight, and there she was to win the gold medal. Then in the final events, that we also, the men's 200 meters, the women's 200 meters, the men 4x100 meters, Côte d'Ivoire running a national record time of 38.52. Then their lady, Mamundo Koni, winning the women's 200 meters. She had done an incredible race in the women's semi-final. Then we had Cheikh Traore winning the men's 200 meters with an incredible time of 20.43 seconds. I think Côte d'Ivoire, we should begin to pay attention to what they are doing in their country, because you see the kind of performances they put up in Accra, and you clearly see that there's a certain trajectory these athletes have been taken through. And when they get on the continental stage, they may just be a threat to any country. No one actually had them as part of the potentials to win the 4x1. But then they showed up. They were in lane 1. And Traore anchored them home with a perfect finish of 38.52, as I mentioned earlier. South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria were all in contention. But guess what? Nigeria and Ghana were all blown apart. They had to settle for silver and bronze medals here, with Côte d'Ivoire winning it. So clearly, I think that the rest of the continent are beginning to work. They are beginning to invest in track and field events, and we still have some of the best talents in the continent competing at the global stage, just as the likes of Letsile, Ferdinand Manyala and co are already doing. Côte d'Ivoire are doing some incredible stuff, just as Botswana is doing. Botswana, I think they were a bit disappointing, considering what they've done in recent times, especially in Tokyo and in the relays that they hosted recently. Many would have expected them to do better. But then came Zimbabwe too, in the 4x400 meters. And in fact, I actually, if you listen to the commentary, I had actually even said that they were the favorites for that event, and indeed, they won it. So these are countries here that you had little history when it comes to track and field, but all of a sudden, they are beginning to get young athletes who are cropping up and doing incredible stuff on the continental stage. And I dare say the future of track and field in the continent is bright.
Well, That's Muftaun Abila. He was a commentator for the Africa Senior Athletics Championships. Coach Chang, let me come over to you now, and let's talk about, just a little bit of focus on Team Kenya. And with Edwin Toh having won the silver in the decathlon 2 days in, it was Kevin Chesang, quite a close 10,000 meters. When you take a look at it, the times speak for themselves. 28 minutes, 30.44 seconds. Gared of Ethiopia second, 28 minutes, 30.57 seconds. And Silas Centura of Kenya with a bronze, 28 minutes, 34.97 seconds. The 10,000 meters, man. How did you see that race, Coach?
Yeah, and there is a quite of improvement in when it comes to 10,000 meters. Remember that we have been losing the 10,000 meters to our neighbors, to maybe Ethiopia and Uganda. And actually, it was a great show for the upcoming athlete, Kelvin Chesang, who worked hand in hand with Sanjura to claim the medals. And eventually, we got 2 out of that 10,000 meters. We only lost silver. It shows that there is a potential in still winning the longer events and not not forgetting our neighbors who are actually good in the event. We are seeing even other countries also performing well, and when it comes to Kenya, we were able to get even the 10,000 meters in even the ladies there by Diana Wansa, who was doing well in the local scene. And there is a very good potential that we are having a newcomers performing well in the Nani. Remember that I think it is only Julius Yego who is a senior athlete who has been doing, I think he has been defending for the 4th time or so. And the other athletes are...
This is the 4th consecutive time he has won it.
Yeah, the other one are the new athletes who are upcoming. Maybe the seniors have left it for the Diamond Leagues and so, because if you could see that they were in the team, but eventually, like Reynolds Jeriot had to go to the Diamond League, and even Omanyala was also in the team, and you could note it. It's not only Kenya, because if you see such like Sembine, like Letsile, they could have been participated, but because of the international circuit, we have a Diamond League starting up, and they had to move there. So actually, Wahome, to talk about the Kenyan team who has really performed well, I can say that they have performed well because the other countries have improved. If you could go for the relay 4x400 meters men, you could see Zimbabwe how they did it. They were strong from the word go. They were actually in front. They were not even just waiting for anybody to come and maybe to win for the medal, but they went for it, and it shows that the Africa is actually taking the races are very serious, and soon we are having a competition which is real.
And Coach Sang, let me also talk about...
Daniel,
yes, we can mention this move out.
Dinah. He mentioned Dinah Wansa. And I think she is an absolute beast of an athlete. How she dominated that event is crazy. I have never in my lifetime seen an athlete take onto the tracks and run down the laps as though they never existed. Dinah Wansa, I think, could just be the next Faith Kipyegon for Kenya. She is a brilliant, brilliant athlete. The way she had her pace, the consistency of her races, the consistency of her strides, they were absolutely one of a kind. And I had so much pleasure commentating on this young girl. And as Coach mentioned, I think she is one of those athletes that, from what I said, Kenya should be paying attention to for the long and middle distances, but she is a beast of an athlete. Guess how many times she went round her base on that lap? 3 consecutive times. She created acres of space before her, and even the 4th place athlete. That should tell you that this is a girl who knew absolutely what she wanted to do, and she had worked hard to be there, and she took advantage of it. She had the endurance, she had the energy, She had the rhythm, she had the strides, everything required for her to win that race. And she did an incredible job. Dinah Wanza, I must say, could just be the next Faith Kipyegon.
Well, I'm sure Mustafa now will give you a Kenyan citizen very, 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 very quickly. At least you know your way around town. Coach Sang, let's talk about the mixed relays because, you know, just to put it into context, to understand the kind of pressure that Team Kenya had, finishing fourth at the World Relays in Botswana in an African record and still do not pick up, you do not pick up a medal, you're fourth. And you set a lifetime best. It's not crazy, but let's look at this execution. The mixed 4x400 meter relay, coach. Nigeria winning in 3 minutes, 16.44. Botswana 3 minutes, 17.88. And Kenya 3 minutes, 17.94.
Actually, they did well in performing because if you could see the team, the composition of that team, it was not that strong because the absence of Mercy.
Yes.
Mercy was actually not there, and if you see even also, they were only the newcomers in the team. Those who have performed at least, there were no those guys like Alan Gibiego who got injured some few weeks before the trials and.
Looks like we've had a freeze. For Coach Sang, we'll be coming to him. Muftahu, you watched the 4x4. How did you see the execution as we try to get Coach Sang back?
Well, I think it was more of a technical decision for most of the coaches based on what I witnessed. Some of the coaches decided to start with some of their fastest and end with some of their fastest. I believe that was a perfect execution. He has mentioned that some of the strongest athletes were not available for it, and that might have contributed to the position Kenya finished. Earlier, he spoke about Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe were very strong. Botswana were strong. In the 4x1, Cote d'Ivoire were very strong. And South Africa also were very strong. If you talk about the mixed relay, Nigeria, they have always been dominant. Chidi Okezie and Patience, they have been the heart of this Nigeria mixed relay team in the last 4 or 5 editions that I've had the privilege of covering. So Nigeria were always going to end up with a place on the podium. But I had the privilege of speaking to Jackson Tue just before the championships. And he had told me that it was an open space because some of the finals of athletes on the continent were not going to be available. So it was difficult to actually tell who were the favorites and who were not. And that is why we saw some.
Okay. So Coach Sang, are you back? Can we hear you, Coach Sang?
Yeah, I am back. I think my internet, my network is not working well, but I'm okay. I'm back. And
okay, so
to light more on the sprints of the longer 4x400 meters and the mixed.
Yes,
is that we had placed the best athletes in the team, though we had some few who are not there, and they had gone for a Diamond League. And actually, the newcomers did the wonders by even having a national record, which have never been achieved when we have the best in the country performing the same. At times, when going for the championship with the additional of a mixed relay, it complicates matters in the relay races all, because you have to have more athletes, and sometimes you may have at least 4. So going to maybe up to another 4 to get more athletes who are stronger, it jeopardizes the performance. So I can say that the teams had performed, and for those who had put only the few events, contest in the few events, were performing so well. for us, probably we distributed to all the maybe 4x4 and even 4x4 mixed. That shows that you are going to exhaust all the athletes and you cannot get the proper performance and whatever you wanted. But for the countries like maybe Nigeria, they only went for mixed relay and they really got it. So actually, it was a challenge for the coaches to ensure that who is participating in 4x4 and 4x4 mix, because the two events is even special. So unless you are concentrating on one event, which is maybe doing 4x4 or 4x4 mixed, that's when you can get the maximum performance. And that's my take.
And by the way, Coach, I mean, independently, like you, Coach Sang, to talk about this, the men's 4x400-meter relay final, how close it was. Zimbabwe taking gold, 3 minutes, 1.11 seconds. Kenya, 3 minutes, 1.34 seconds. Morocco, 3 minutes, 1.35 seconds. Coach, when you see an event that close, because this is your area, I mean, one of your areas of expertise, how would you want to see, you know, that, especially the second and, say, the third, fourth legs executed?
Yeah, actually, it's when you are doing the relay, you consider all parts of all the legs that are being run there. The first, the second person, the third person, and the fourth person. Because if you consider if you put a weaker person maybe in a certain angle, you are not going to get a full results unless you have an athlete who is performing so well in all the angles. And if you can see the performance of that relay, it was neck to neck and to all the teams that were performing. And some Zimbabwean had placed their best. That's why they were leading from the word go and up to the final, and they finished being number one. This shows that if you have some reserve athletes, maybe the reserve athlete may not even work because it may not be the best to place them in the final of the event. So having put the best athletes in that final, it shows that there must be an athlete who is performing all round in everything. Yeah.
Muftawu, yeah, this is always what we call it, the commentator's headache as to how, once the afterburners come in, that final 100 meters, how would you say about the way the Zimbabwe executed it? Kenya and Morocco, a photo finish, because that's just what it was.
I would describe that as an incredible race, and as you heard from Coach, you need to have the best of athletes to be able to help you execute that. I noticed from the onset, Zimbabwe were in the lead, and they took advantage of they were in the lead. They handed over the baton as quick as they could. From the first leg to the final leg of this race, they were always in there. However, I think Kenya did an incredible job, as well as Morocco, because you'd notice that there was a point where Nigeria were closing in, and if I personally even thought Nigeria were going to find themselves on the podium. But guess what? Kenya shows up and goes for, was it a third leg? The athletes who raised the third leg, I think he basically got Kenya on the podium because the way he ran the leg was absolutely incredible. Morocco, if anyone had told me Morocco was going to be on the podium, I probably would have said no. It wasn't going to be possible.
I mean,
because
same here.
Botswana was in there.
Same here. I mean, I wasn't counting Morocco on this.
I never did. I never counted Morocco to be in there because I actually thought Botswana were going to be in there because they have done it multiple times, especially in recent years. So I thought they were a much stronger team. Then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, Morocco shows up, blows them apart, and gets a place on the podium. So I think it was a matter of technical and tactical execution from the coaches. Make sure you have the fastest man start within your team starting, and make sure that the person who is on the third leg is equally as fast. Because if you have an all-round team that is very strong, that is where you're going to achieve success. And I believe that the likes of Zimbabwe, the likes of Kenya, the likes of Morocco, all executed their race perfectly. As you mentioned, the times there, it was more of a photo finish. They all crossed the line at a time that many of us, from where I sit, if anyone had told me that was possible, I never saw it happen. Was it 3 minutes 01 seconds, if my memory serves me right, for Zimbabwe? And that was a crazy run for them to end up winning gold medal. It's all about execution, as coach has said, and they executed well.
Well, the women's all right. Let me talk about the women's 4x400 meters, because there is a name there that is not normally in the sprints. And we saw Ethiopia wins. There was a win in the 400 and also finished taking a silver in the women's 4x400 meters. Coach Sang, from your take, what is it that you have observed? If we go back, even look at the regional under 18 and under 20 championships, and also the African under 18 and under 20 championships, what's it that Ethiopia is doing? Because we saw them in other events that we normally do not see them performing in.
Wow, come again. I did not get your question.
Okay, Coach, the women's 4x400 meters, Ethiopia, a silver in the 4x4, and also they medaled in the 400 meters women. How different are you seeing this Ethiopian side, and what risk and what threats do they pose to the continent if the African Championships is anything to go by?
Yeah, I was surprised to see some athletes performing so well from Ethiopia, because if you could see the 4x400 meters, 400 meters hurdles, there were 3 athletes coming from Ethiopia, and this shows that Ethiopians also have taken in sprints event. They had 2 athletes in the finals of I think women. This shows that for you to gauge the number of athletes who are going, the performance of a relay, you need to see how they are performing in the individual events in 400 meters or maybe 200 meters to see if they are performing well in the relay. For the athletes who are, maybe there are so many athletes coming to semi-finals in the 400 meters event, this predicts well in the relays and their performance in the relays. Actually, the Ethiopians have taken a stride in the sprints, and you could see they were performing. I was surprised to see them, in 3 of them in the finals of the 400 meters hurdles.
Well, let's talk about an event now. And Muftau, now let me let a cat out of the bag, because you probably know the athlete, but you haven't met her coach. Coach Alex Sang has worked with Mary Moraa for quite some time, so you know so now you can make a connection about the two. Alex Sang, the 800 meters, we've seen you work with Mary Moraa. Just tell us about how you saw, Kevin Lottie execute this 145.47, and then we'll come to you, Muftau, your compatriot Alex Amankwa, a 146.18 for the bronze. Coach, let's start with you.
Yeah, there's a great performance by Lottie, because we could see he was winning even the local meets, and there was a good projection that he was going to win the Africa Championship. Having the senior athletes like Wanyonyi, those who are running from Botswana, the great guy who was running good in Botswana, they were not there, and this gave chance to Lottie to perform well in the African Championship. Having had to win the trials here in Kenya.
Muftau, let me come to you. Alex Amankwa, I'm sure that bronze medal was celebrated like it was of a shinier color at the University of Accra Stadium.
Yes, Alex Amankwa has been one of Ghana's sensational runners, especially in the 800 meters. And he has always struggled to find himself in a position to medal. And for him to finally do it on the continental stage was success. If you were in the stadium, you would have felt the partisan nature of the crowd in terms of their support for Alex Amankwa as he finally won the bronze medal. So yes, it was a huge win for him, though it was a bronze medal. A medal is a medal, and in fact, that was the second medal Ghana was winning in the championship. So, as the host of the event, the crowd wanted the athletes to be able to lay their hands on medals, and you are absolutely right that the crowd celebrated that medal from Alex Amankwa in the 800 meters.
All right.
He has always been that athlete.
Muftau, let me just interrupt you. We'll be coming back to Muftau Nabila, who was commentating the Africa Senior Athletics Championships. We were having a conversation, about some of these executions and the things that you saw before we were interrupted. You could just take us into that part again, as just to recap that.
It matters. I was just talking about the fact that the crowd was very partisan in terms of their support for Alex Amankwa because he was the second athlete to win a medal for Ghana in this championship. And in fact, he has been an athlete who has always represented the country whenever it matters, both in continental and global stages. So there was an opportunity for him to win a medal, and indeed he took advantage of it. In fact, he final, but he was one of the fastest in the heat. That was how he made the final, because in the heat he finished third, and it was the top two that were required to be able to progress. But eventually he progressed to the final, and he was able to get a medal. Though it wasn't gold, though it wasn't silver, a medal is still a medal.
Well, let's also take a look at the women's 800 meters. Coach, I know you've having worked with a world champion, somebody who's won medals at the highest levels of the competition, from age grade now to her point here. What's the depth of the women's 800 meters in the country at the moment? Who would we be looking at?
Yeah, we are currently not performing well in the 800 meters, but we are still having some people. Maybe they started the season late, and like the world champion Adira, who actually started the season recently in the Kipene Classic and was positioned 2 with 159. And we are hoping that she knows what to do up to maybe coming to Rabat, because I know she is going to participate in the first Diamond League in Rabat. And for sure, right now we are missing the likes of Sarah Mora, who did 155 last season, and Mary Mora, who had to delay her season, and she's starting the season right now. And hopefully, maybe we don't know what will come up in the Commonwealth Games, but we are still having the new ladies who are doing well, and hopefully in the near future. So the athletes are very well. They know where to start and the season, and the coaches are well prepared for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Muftau, let's talk to you from the perspective okay. All right. Also, Muftau, I mean, we should be coming to you. But for you, Coach Alexang, what's your big take-home from the African Senior Athletics Championships, Coach Alexang?
Yeah, we saw the upcoming athletes who are participating there, because I told you that the seniors hoped to go for points in the Diamond League, and they left. We have a very good lady in South Africa who is performing. We saw the Botswana lady who became a bronze medalist, and there is a good chance that there is a newcomer in Ethiopia who won the medal, the gold medal, and for sure we are still we are okay. We are ready for the major games, and this shows that the performance in the Africa Championship was quite well, and it's only that the upcoming were doing the races, and we could not get the senior athletes performing out there. I'm expecting that maybe probably comes to Commonwealth Games and the finals of the Diamond Leagues. We are still dominating the events. So we have newcomers and we are hoping them to join the likes of Mary Morat, the Lilian Odira, and the Sarah.
Well, and right now, Mugo, you can tell me this. Julius Yego, he won another gold medal in the men's javelin throw. I now count 5, you want more, right? A very good morning to you, Julius, and congratulations on number 5.
Good morning, Mahom, and thank you. No, it's goal number 6.
Gold number 5. Yes, 6 at the African Championships. Yeah. And, you know, everyone knows you as a YouTube man, and 16 years, you know, throughout the sport, what has been the story that you can tell about the African Championships, plus also the African Games, where you have also, you know, been picking the medals starting way back, 14, 15 years ago?
Well, I think there is a background noise. I can't hear you well.
Okay. Just tell us, you know, the whole feeling about having won it, having been, you know, the top javelin thrower for Kenya for the last 16 years.
Thank you. Of course, it has been a long journey. I think I've enjoyed the journey. And, you know, I started African Championship in 2010. And I'm very sure very few people can remember that in 2010 in Nairobi, I won the bronze medal. And it was the first time for me to compete at the African Championship. But of course, the African Championships after that, I think I skipped the 2015 one in Durban, South Africa. I didn't compete. We were in the World Championship in Beijing, if you can remember. So then, yeah, I've won the sixth time now, and I'm excited. It's a legacy that you know, I will leave out when I exit the stage, and you know, I'm happy that, you know, Kenya has, you know, consistently win the men's javelin, having been won by myself, and you know, it is an historic you know, moment, and yeah, I like it. I enjoy it.
Let's also, you know, talk about how, you know, you have worked to ensure that you recover. At one point, injuries had taken a toll on you, and getting back into a position where even at the World Championships, you're able to get to, you know, close to the big ones, 85 towards 87, and the, you know, how you've learned about managing your body, your training, even as you progress in your career.
Yes, as you said, injuries is part of this sport, and especially javelin. You know, we get a lot of injuries. After every other competition, you have pain, you know, everywhere in your body. But of course, we have to live with it. And for me, I think I should say, you know, even as though we say injuries are part of this sport, I should say also I've been lucky to have the quickest recovery after an injury. If I remember in 2016, I thought maybe that could end my, you know, my career, having teared the groin. So at that moment, I thought maybe it was difficult for me to come back. And miraculously, after 2 months, I was able to train again. But of course, I was not able to train, you know, to the optimum. And that is performance were not, you know, up to, you know, like if you compare to the previous years. And that also has to impact my performance for a very long time, because at some point when I was training, the injury still comes back, so I had to slow again, and you know, and manage which competition to compete in, and focus only in championship like World Championship and Olympics. And yes, so I should say, you know, getting the experience also, having gone through that, you know, having gone through that course, like being injured. So I realized that, you know, I need to manage myself on what kind of competition I should compete in. Even before we came for this African Championship, I decided not to compete in, but I had some, you know, advice from different people that I should try this one to see if my body will, you know, react well. And yes, I came here to compete and won it. Yeah, it's been a journey, you know, ups and downs, but overall, I think it has been a successful, you know, career for me for the last 16 years. And I'm happy that we are having athletes coming up in different events, in the field events. Like we had a shot put lady who had the bronze. And we had also some good athletes in the field events who they did their best. Some even, achieved their personal best. And it shows that we're heading in the right direction. It's a moment that I think we should put more focus in, because field events is not an easy job. We need serious facilities, equipment also. And I think we are going in the right direction.
All right, thank you, Julius Chiako. Just hold there. We're going to be taking a short break. We'll be coming back. And also somebody in Accra, Muftau Nabila, please don't go away. At least you've heard from Julius Chiako. Coach Alex Sang, also just hold on for that. We'll be coming back so that after this short break. And we'll hear from Julius Chiako, especially about Belinda Oburu in the short put and an overall take of the competition from Muftau Nabila. And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning, the 18th day of May 2026. For majority of the people in the country, it is a story about, the transport crisis in the country after Matatu operators withdrew their services and protesting the high fuel prices in the country, but also other stories we are keeping tabs on. The Jubilee delegates meeting that is taking place at the Kiambu Club. Joseph Wakhungu will keep us updated on that. But time to wrap up this conversation about the Africa Senior Athletics Championships. The 24th edition taking place at the University of Ghana Stadium, placed on Legon, and we've got 6-time javelin throw champion Julius Chiako. I mean, definitely would have to say was a senior athlete in that team. We've got Coach. You've got also Coach Alex Sang is going to be joining us, and Muftau Nabila, who was the commentator for the event. Julius, let me come back to you. And you mentioned about Belinda Oburu winning that bronze in the women's short put, 16 meters 39. I mean, a national record. Elizabeth Olaba would be very happy. And there is the legacy that he wants to leave so that it continues. Over to Julius. You could basically tell us, the impact, and also for Alexander Kiprotich, who's taking up, who's expected to fill your very big shoes in the men's javelin.
Yes, Linda got the bronze, and I was really excited. Even somebody who is excited about that medal is me, because it comes from the field events. I think we have for a very long time overlooked the field events in Kenya, and we are realizing that we can get these medals. And you can see now that we're losing in the events that we used to think it's our events, in sports. And we need to think, we need to wake up. People have to realize that, athletics has really evolved, and the countries which have not been doing well in different events have come up strongly, and they are winning in those events. And Kenya, we are losing them. And we don't see, a moment where we can say we will improve. I think for me, if you want to take a scientific, analysis of this, we use the African Championship, because the same coaches who trained the senior athletes who did not come here are the same coaches who are coaching the young athletes who came here. And if we are not winning with the junior athletes, how sure are we that we will win in future with them? So I think it's a concern that we're losing in the events that Kenya were once, thought we did their event. And now field events is coming strongly. So we need to now, I should say, diversify the events that we participate in this championship, especially in African Championship, because this is where we build, we build the maturity of an athlete, we build that talent of the athlete for the future. Yes, we have very good athletes who did well, but then now, for me, I've competed many times in African Championship, and if you see the level of, competition, back home, it's going down. So we should ask ourselves, what is the problem that we are doing? And some countries are doing differently. Ethiopia, you can imagine they won the 400 in the women. So a country where we thought maybe they are very good in distance running, but now they are coming strongly in the field events, in the sprints. Yeah, they had also silver in the men's javelin, 77 meters. It is a good distance. So it's a wake-up call to all of us. We shouldn't just say, yes, we did well here. Yes, we did well. But some countries, other countries are doing exceptionally well, and we need to wake up. And then for me, I will say, for field events, I'm excited for Linda. I could see, I told the coach before we left Nairobi that Linda was going to do well because the training that she was doing was, you could enjoy. And I remember when we were doing training, she joined us, and she felt the pain of training hard as a senior athlete. But, at the end of it all, she got a medal.
And, by the way, Julia Sang, Coach, I'm sorry, Julia Siego, Coach Alex Sang is listening, so the message, I'm sure, has reached home very, very fast. Julius, what's the outlook for the season? We've got the Ultimate Games coming later this year and also the Commonwealth Games. What's your outlook for 2026?
For now, I think I'm taking it easy. I don't want to push myself that hard because I'm coming back from that, I will say nasty injury, complete tear on my groin again in Tokyo. But I'm happy that I'm able to compete again. I'm able to throw again. Like yesterday, I did the 6 throws without any pain. So the distance is not coming at the moment, but I think I will get back there. I still have that fear of, going hard on the javelin. But I think I will be back. Next week, I think I will go to Rabat for the Diamond League. And then I don't know if I will to Rome, but I think I will go also to Doha Diamond League in June. So I'm taking it easy, slowly by slowly. Of course, I'm also following the advice of the doctors that have been, seeking advice on the same. So they are telling me that, I should just enjoy the moment, enjoy competing, get back the rhythm, because javelin is all about the rhythm. I don't know if you understand that, but it's all about the rhythm. If the rhythm comes back, I'm very sure I will be able to throw well. And of course, the Ultimate Championship, having won the African Championship here, it gives me a chance. It's a moment that I got a lot of points here. So because they will use the rankings to invite athletes for the Ultimate Championship. So I'm very sure at the moment I'm somewhere, but I need to compete and throw further than what I did here to be able to compete at the Ultimate Championship.
All right, thank you very much, Julius Diego. And pass our regards to the rest of the team.
Daniel.
So
Daniel.
That gave us the 17 medals.
Something just crossed my mind.
So let's now move over
Daniel, can I ask
Coach
Diego
Alex
a question? Can I ask you a question?
Over to you, Coach Alex Sang. Let's now give us, just your closing thoughts as, past the Africa Senior Athletics Championships, and then after that, move Tau would give us a whole take home, especially for them as the hosts of the event. Coach Sang.
First of all, I want to congratulate Julius Diego for his 60th win in the Africa Championship. He has really done a very good job having elevated our field events. He has been the only one, and I can see that of Linda Buru has been there for the last 39 years. And what to say is from the Africa Championship towards the Diamond Leagues and the Commonwealth Games later in the season, is that we encourage the athletes to perform well, and also the coaches to do well in training the athletes, ensure that you have the best grounds. So at the moment now, because we are getting ready for the football in all African football coming up in next year, the fields in Nairobi are more closed, and we are feeling our time to go for training. And if the government could have a way to give us some other fields to athletics, to ensure that we are both performing also well in athletics. So the only thing is that, like Diego said, that we needed to improve some other events. If we have a field that may be probably good only for athletics, it will be a thing that is going, that we are going to see as a coaches, that now if you close all the stadiums in Nairobi, where are we going? Should we go back to Nakuru or Iten or Kericho or maybe Siaya to go and train? For some some senior coaches who are in Nairobi, they need a place to train, and that place should be a field where we have all the equipments and everything. Otherwise, I wish all the athletes and the management a good way to train the athletes and have the best in the season. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach Alex Sang and Muftau Nabila. Closing comments from you, the big take-homes from the Africa Senior Athletics Championships, lessons learned from Ghana. And
Daniel, if you may permit me, when I was listening to Julius, he mentioned something, which was about the fact that he felt okay when he was after the 6 throws in the javelin final. I would have liked to find out from him whether he would want to go for that record currently held by Hakim Toumi of Algeria in the javelin, because Hakim Toumi has won 7. Diego, would you want to do that?
Actually, Julius, respond. Yeah, would you want to go for a 7th? Well, Muftau, looks like maybe Julius may have logged off, but so, you can then give us...
No, I'm there. Sorry, wow, I'm there.
Oh, Julius, there is one question I've been asked by Muftau Nabila. He's in Accra. He was the commentator for the games. He's asking if you'd like to equal the record of 7 javelin championships.
That question has come up many times to me when I came here in Accra, especially after yesterday winning. I've had many people asking me the same question directly, or phone calls, or even through the social media, that why don't you try the 7th one? And of course, I must admit that, even before the start of this competition, I met with Sebastian Coe, the World Athletics president. And we spoke about that, thing. And then he was telling me, I think you can still do it. For me, I'll say I told myself that because now I'm getting, I'm no longer growing younger. I need to manage the amount of competition I have to compete in. Of course, I'm focusing on the LA Olympics in 2028 and of course the next year's World Championship. But then I think, as for now, I will say I think what I've done is okay, is enough. But it depends. It depends in 2028, because I think that is when we'll have the next African Championship. I will make the final decision if I will compete in African Championship. But I will still compete in other events.
Well, Muftau, you've had it.
See, Daniel, I'm just giving you a very good headline for the day, haven't I?
No, I wasn't supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to be providing headlines for Joy Prime. No, you've had it. Anyway, Muftau, the take home from these championships, yes, because I know now you already have a big story. You have a scoop. Actually, you can go over to the camp and get Julius himself. So, Muftau, take home from this championship and lessons learned for the next host of the African Senior Athletics Championships.
I just want to take it from the lessons that must be learned from the next host, which is Botswana. The early phases of the organization was quite chaotic, and that was expected. I was in Eugene for the World Champs, and in fact, some of the rooms didn't have ACs. They were fixed in the course of the competition. So when it comes to organizing major championships, there are often challenges. In fact, I've had the privilege of covering not less than 3 World Champs, and what I can tell you that even on that stage, there are often issues in the early phase of organization. So what Botswana must do is to ensure that the experiences we had in Accra, I mean the bad ones for that matter, are not repeated in Botswana. We saw how chaotic it was in Douala, and in Accra it was equally chaotic. And I think Botswana, they will have to do better from the get-go. We cannot start a competition where the top clock have issues. We cannot start a competition where athletes are wondering what time they've made. And I think that Botswana, they will have to do better. They successfully organized the World Relays. I spoke to World Athletics President Sebastian Coe. He spoke about how it was one of the best World Relays yet. And he said Africa has got the potential of organizing major championships. And I think Botswana will have to do better. My take home from this championship is the fact that the final 4 days of the championship were excellent from where I sat. And I think that the rest of the athletes that came to Accra, they delivered moments that would live with us forever. Accra has delivered, Africa has delivered, and I think Ghana has delivered. Those will be my final words on the Africa Championships.
Thank you very much, Muftau Nabila. And if you were listening to the commentary on the Africa Senior Athletics Championships as it was on KBC Channel 1, now you can connect the face and the voice. And also thanks to Coach Alex Sang and to six-time African champion in the men's javelin throw, Julius Yego. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time this morning discussing the African Senior Athletics Championships.